So, what you guys been up to?
I bought some shoes.
Great. Oh, that's exciting. Tell me about your shoes.
Nah, my shoes are pretty pimp, actually. Like my shoes are damn pimp. I bought a pair of dress shoes and a pair of what I like to refer to as catch-all fancy shoes.
Are there rhinestones on it or something?
No. The reason why it's catch-all fancy shoes is because it's like you could wear them for like any kind of like pseudo fancy occasion. If you're like, oh geez, I gotta go to a wedding, it's like boom, you could wear those shoes. If it's like, oh shit, I'm being knighted by the queen, you could be like, boom, wear those shoes. Or you could be like, my friend and I are going out to get really good shawarma. You could probably wear those shoes, like it's
Alright. Thanks for telling us about your shoes, Johnny. Austin, what have you been up to?
Oh my god.
How do you even follow that? How do you follow shoes? Hello everyone, welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney.
Oh my god, Leon, are you bringing back Attack of the Trek?
Yeah, I hit the first Patreon goal.
Please use the crunkest rap.
I started doing that when I started doing Attack of the Trek. I was like, you know what would be great if I just put like rap music, on these episodes. I don't listen to rap at all anymore. But I had to differentiate itself from Renegade Cut.
That's my favorite part because I don't know anything about Star Trek, so it's all just like noise and colors to me. I'm just seeing this nerdy ass shit, and it's like just the fucking streetest rap song in the background. I'm like, yeah.
That, by the way, gentlemen, I just posted a link in the chat right there. That is the other pair of shoes that I bought.
Oh, hold on.
Not the Chucks.
Johnny, do you want to have like a men's fashion podcast?
No, I just I bought shoes. Fuck you, Austin. How many shoes do you have?
I have one pair.
7?
Me too. I have exactly one pair of shoes.
Yeah, I own 2 shoes. There's one pair.
They're black.
How many jackets do you guys own?
I actually own a lot of jackets. I have a blue leather jacket. I'm told that it looks like the 8th Doctor. I didn't mean for it to be a reference to Doctor Who, and it's not. But apparently that's what everyone thinks it is.
So you get approached and go, oh my god, you remind me of the Doctor.
Yeah, the one from the TV movie that like everyone forgets, but except for people who love fashion. I also have a gray jacket and a long gray jacket for when it's cold. And I also have a blazer. I have so many. I used to have a red leather jacket that again was not meant to be a reference to something, but everyone thought it was Tyler Durden's jacket. But yeah, I used to have lots of jackets, and
okay, Leon, you're in the clear. Your jacket collection is respectable.
Okay,
Austin,
what's your jacket like?
Oh god, you guys are gonna be so disappointed in me.
Austin's a Floridian. He probably doesn't have.
Yeah, you probably just walk around like with no shirt on all the time. Isn't that basically how that works?
There's like a running joke with all my friends. I only own like 2 different outfits. I have black shirt and blue jeans and white shirt and basketball shorts. Those are the only things I wear. That's the only things I own. I am white trash as fuck, guys.
Wait, you walk around in shorts?
Yes.
Right, shorts I don't know what it is, but shorts are just gross. The shorts are just disgusting.
It's like 110 degrees half the time here.
No matter how...
I cannot wear shorts.
No matter how hot it is, I never wear shorts. I don't care if I burn up. It looks ridiculous. It looks like I'm at a day at the beach.
I mean, I'm not going to dispute that. I look silly as fuck, but I'm comfortable. That's the important thing.
I shouldn't wear shorts. I mean, this is like, that has nothing to do with my gender. I should not wear shorts.
Well, it's always cold in Canada.
It's not that it's always cold in Canada. I live in Western Canada. It's warm as fuck over here compared to the rest of Canada. Like, we had 1 snowfall this year so far. 1. The whole of 1.
I've had a bunch.
No, it's just that when I was a youth, you guys know that I've spoken about it on Word Funk before, that I had a little bit of history of some sad times, some bad emotions, a little bit of grumpiness, a little bit of sadness. I used to be a cutter, you see.
Yeah.
And I took it out on my legs. So if I get, like, the slightest amount of sun on my legs, I look like a fucking zebra. Because that scar tissue does not tan.
Gosh, I'm sorry. See,
No.
I was gonna make all these jokes about your legs, and now I can't. Your legs are like off limits now. So,
no, but the thing is, I have ridiculously sexy legs. This is the horrible thing. I mean, I've been doing kung fu for like 15 years.
Right.
I have fucking legs. Like, if somebody approached me and was like, did you know that ZZ Top was a band that traveled back in time, and that song, She's Got Legs, or whatever it's called, is really about you? I would be like, fuck, I'm not surprised.
But you can't show your legs, and Austin, as I understand it, your knees are all fucked up. So I guess I'm the only one with like super healthy legs that I can show people, and I refuse to show them.
But you've got one pair of shoes,
and just the one pair, I guess. So I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
This is a really weird conversation, but we all had so much to say on the subject, so I didn't want to stop us.
There's almost nothing we should be saying about legs, and yet we've gone on for like 10 solid minutes about it.
Pardon me, but I am more than qualified to talk about legs, as I have a dynamite pair. And I am well qualified to talk about shoes. You two are, sirs, the Pretenders, and not the band.
I'm not
actually my legs are actually pretty. I'm told that I have good legs, but I don't want to show them. So I just, I don't know. I don't know if that's my best feature physically.
They're like those Easter eggs for the people that you're just like, yeah, you get my legs.
You guys talk for 1 minute. I'm gonna walk into the other room and ask my wife what my best physical feature is, and then I'm gonna report to you what they are. And if it's legs, we could talk about that. But if not, we'll talk about the other thing.
This is my favorite segment we've ever done.
What did you do this past week, Austin?
What did I do? I mean,
anything shoe related?
I didn't. Guys, fashion is my, like, weakest possible suit. I am the antithesis of style on purpose. It's a deliberate choice to be.
I'm not talking about, this is not a case of style. I'm just talking about I bought some shoes. They made me excited. I was originally only going to get one pair of shoes, but then I was like, I love both of these pairs of shoes. I will take them. And then we had pizza with a duck on it.
That's some bourgeois shit, Johnny.
It was really bourgeois. Like, it was really fucking...
I'm from the streets.
I should have drawn, like, a pencil mustache on or something like that.
I'm back now.
All right, Leon, tell us.
It's actually really disappointing. First you said my smile, which really, there's nothing... There's nothing to say there, and that's complete bullshit because I have one crooked tooth. I have a Ric Flair tooth. But then she corrected herself.
I have a crooked tooth too.
Oh, crooked tooth brothers. But then she corrected herself and said my butt, and so.
So that qualifies you then to have an a cappella cover of Anaconda ready for next week's podcast.
Stop right now. Don't even bother to answer. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, we have a show to do.
Like that's an afterthought. Oh yeah.
We're gonna talk about some movie news and some video game news. And Austin, you have some video game news for us. As everyone knows, this is the one place on the internet where you can hear about video games. In real time. You're listening to us live. So Austin, tell us about this news that just broke.
It certainly helps that it takes you like 4 days to edit these, so everything's super timely.
Yeah, the reason it takes 4 days to edit these is because I record this, and then I'm like, ugh, I'd rather work on Renegade Cut. And then I do that for a few days, and then I do this immediately thereafter. But, go ahead with your...
It means a lot to us.
I do imagine, though, if he decided to edit us right after he spent an hour with us, he would probably be like,
yeah,
I'm just going to son of a... I'm going to make these guys look like such assholes.
Okay, go ahead, Austin. Tell us.
Oh, all right. Actual news. Sorry about that. So, over the last week or so, there have been a couple of different related news stories that broke, and I kind of wanted to bunch them together to talk about one specific kind of trend, which is they're reporting on video game length and kind of how this has been affecting certain things. Let me just back up to the news itself. First, Jonathan Blow, guy who made Braid, he basically tweeted a speed run of his upcoming game, The Witness, which is a puzzle game that he says he completed 100% in 6 hours. And then a bunch of sites, including Polygon and GameSpot, reported that The Witness is 6 hours long, which is not accurate. It's a speed run of a puzzle game by the guy who designed it. So obviously it's a lot longer than that. So that, I mean, that's one thing by itself that we talk about. But then later, in fact, a couple of days ago, a YouTuber uploaded a playthrough of the upcoming PlayStation 4 exclusive, The Order 1886, in which he showed that the entire single-player campaign could be beaten in 5 hours. And then people were reporting that this new AAA $60 game is 5 hours long and has no multiplayer. So that became its own thing. And these stories happen every once in a while, but this kind of grouping here I thought was interesting because is how important is the length of a video game to you guys? I mean, we've talked about it before, like, Leon, you play like 3 games a year.
That's not true, but
you nestle into these really long-ass JRPGs, and you're like, yeah, this is the Tales of Grace's F year. This is what I'm playing this year.
Okay, well, here's my feeling about that. There's a difference between the length of a game, meaning everything you can do in the game, and how long it will take you to get from point A until the ending credits as quickly as you can. Because, like, for example, and I'll just go old school here, there are ways to beat Super Mario Brothers in a matter of minutes. The first game, I've seen speedruns of it of just like a few minutes. You go through the warps, you go super fast the whole time. And that's true, but on the other hand, if you're not awesome at that game and haven't dedicated your life to making a speedrun on YouTube,
or designing it.
Yeah, or
in one of
design
these cases.
the whole thing. It might take months, maybe years out of your life before you actually beat that game. There are probably people who still haven't beaten Zelda 2, and there are probably speedruns of it where you get through it in a few hours, I guess. But it's a really hard game, and you have to think about it for a long time, and then years later you finally beat it. I still haven't beaten Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! And people can probably get through that very quickly.
In fact, a guy just I think, past 2 months did it blindfolded.
Okay. Yeah, well, and he's obviously much, almost infinitely better at that game than I am. And that's fine.
But no one reported with the headline, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is so easy it can be beaten blindfolded.
It's so not.
Yeah.
It's if you have the kind of memory where you can memorize certain moves, then yeah, you can sort of beat it in pattern. But it's still super hard, and I just don't have that kind of memory. I could beat, even though Mega Man 2 is very, very difficult, I could beat that very quickly back in the day because I just played it so many times that I knew every single thing that was going to happen. But for the most part, what I'm trying to say is that if a game, you could technically beat it in a few hours, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the actual amount of time you're going to spend on this game. I mean, but the difference there when I'm talking about old school games and games now, how do I put this in a nice way? Games are easy now, and they won't take months out of your life if it's a 5-hour game. If you can probably dedicate a weekend to that, even if you're not that good at that game, and just through basic trial and error get through it. So it really depends on the game. I mean, this puzzle game, the designer can get through it very quickly because he knows the solutions to all the puzzles. But if it's anything like Braid, for example, it's, which technically you could speedrun quickly, it might take days, weeks, or even longer if you don't read the walkthroughs online.
I keep seeing in my mind, like movie trailers that are like, from the director of Titanic and The Abyss comes a stirring tale never seen before that clocks in at 3 hours and 12 minutes. It's the thing that, like, I know why people get upset about it. People get upset about it because they want to get this impression like they want to get their money's worth. But on the far other end of the scale, we have padding. Games that are just chock full of padding. something to just kind of like possibly make you spend a little bit more time so the brand sticks in your head, you know?
And it's only been getting worse as video game assets get more expensive because of increasing production costs with HD graphics. So
it's like, you know, there were some games like I really enjoyed Spec Ops: The Line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like I really enjoyed that game, you know, because the gameplay was kind of mediocre. It didn't really do anything new. I didn't expect it to, but I really enjoyed the way it told its story. Not necessarily like the story it told, because we've seen games that are like, oh no, you mean war is bad? But the way that they managed to engage that narrative meant a lot to me, and I really appreciated that. It wasn't a very long game. I was like, but that's okay with me. I was affected emotionally by the events and the outcome. That did well for me. Similarly, you know, like games like Hotline Miami, like smaller games that you get for like, you know, $10, $15, $20 or things like that, can mean just as much. The fact of the matter is that people will price games the way that they need to price them in order to make their endeavor a profitable one. But then, you know, if you start saying, well, you know, it looked good, and the voice acting was great, and the gameplay was tight, and everything about it was fantastic, you know, but it was like 7 hours, so like 4 out of 10.
Well, I mean, the obvious example of a game that is just long enough, even though it's short and still great, is to me is always Portal. Mm-hmm. And although you had to originally buy the orange box to play it, you can now get it standalone. Shortly thereafter, it was just a standalone game that you can get on the cheap. Going back to what you said about getting your money's worth and how it relates to movies, it should be noted that in terms of movies to games and money and all that, I just went to see Jupiter Ascending, which is a whole other topic. I'm not going to get into that now. For $6.50, that was my ticket to see the movie, and the length really wasn't an issue, but with a game, when you're paying upwards of $60, I think it's not completely unreasonable to expect a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a balancing act. I feel like it's not outrageous to get upset at a $60 game only being 5 hours with no multiplayer. Like, I would feel pretty ripped off if it wasn't like the best game ever, right? You have to have something for your money, but at the same time, like, my favorite like book is like Slaughterhouse-Five. I can read that in like an hour. That's really short. You know, like Up, the beginning of Up, that movie, it evokes more emotion in like 5 minutes than most films can do with an hour and a half. Yeah. So length and quality are not even slightly related. But at the end of the day, consumers are gonna fight back against this stuff. My issues with the reporting. Do you guys think that?
It's obviously, they're obviously truncating and going for the sensationalist headline. I mean, if you watch any of the gameplay, you can see the guy is deliberately trying to get through the game as fast as possible. He's not reading any flavor text. He's not like examining anything for extended periods of time. You know, like he's pushing to be like, oh yeah, okay, let's get to the end of this game. And I gotta tell you something, if you play a game because you want to get to the end of it, it's gonna be as short as you want it to be. If you play a game because you enjoy it and you want to explore and investigate and look at things and actually kind of check out what's going on, you know, just marvel at what these people have made technologically, artistically, whatever you want to say, you'll find that you will enjoy it a fuck ton of a lot more. Like nobody is like, you know, halfway through a book, halfway through a movie, halfway through a TV show is like, oh no, I have no feelings on this until it's done.
That's a good point. And I just, you know, in my own recent experience, I just beat Just Cause 2 last month. And when I say I beat it, I mean I got to the end credits. But that doesn't mean I've actually gotten through everything in a game. Someone who is more of a completionist for a game like that, I mean, when I was done,
Excuse me.
like Johnny. I mean, when I beat it, I think it said like, you are 8% complete this game. It's like, there is so much more besides the main thread of the story and just barreling through. I didn't try to barrel through. It's just, I take forever with games, and I didn't want to examine everything on the island when I could have been doing the main story. But for a lot of people who want length, you know, the main thread of the game is not everything always.
Yeah, I mean, especially like when you say Just Cause 2, like all those completion percentages are just like arbitrary, like blow up 80,000 buildings for, you know, non-existent percentages. There's not like any really meaty hook there to bring you into the extra content, you know?
There really wasn't. I just really love to blow things up.
Like, no, I
really loved blowing things up in Just Cause 2. I cannot express how much I loved blowing everything up in Just Cause 2.
It actually is incredibly satisfying to blow up something in Just Cause 2. So
I love that game, but
I agree with what you're saying, Austin, like technically, but just on a very gut and like visceral level. No, I part of me is glad that I have this game forever in my Steam library, because one day I'll just be like, I'll get the itch and I'll say, okay, it's been a couple years, I'm gonna blow up more shit. I'm done with my current console games.
And that's the thing. That is exactly what I'm trying to say, is that I'm trying to say the reason why I blew everything up in Just Cause 2 wasn't because I was like, okay, well, I can't decide if this game is worth it or not until I've blown everything up. I was like, I really like blowing things up here. So I'm just going to blow some more stuff up until I guess there's no more stuff to blow up.
Yeah, so if a game's fun enough, like, and nothing else really matters, you can make your own fun if the tools are there. But with a story-based game like The Order 1866, the one in question here, it's very much like a kind of like a corridor, third-person shooter. You're just going from scene to scene. You get to the credits, and that's it. Like,
yeah, there's gonna be an end. And for people like myself, and these days I value narrative in games, narrative and story in games far more than I value mechanics, because
you've seen every way that there is to kill a dude. There's only so many ways you can kill dudes.
You know, like, I'd like to think that there's our next great innovator is like sitting around the corner, but it's really true, where there's only so many ways that you can like push a button and kill a dude.
There are only so many hotkeys on your keyboard. There's only so many ways you can say, okay, maybe I have to press U to fire, or I next time.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really what we're doing, and then we're watching scenes play out. Like, you know, you press up your mouse button, and then boom, the guy fires a bullet, and you're like, oh, that was exciting, I want to do it again. You know, and then you start firing more bullets, of course. But that's, like, really what it is you're pressing buttons and watching scenes play out. And that, like, the context of that becomes so much more important to me now that I'm older, because I've gotten over this whole, well, you know, when I press this button, this game shoots a bullet, but this game shoots it slightly better.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, the exact opposite of this situation happened a couple months ago with Dragon Age Inquisition. Everyone's like, oh, it's 100 hours of content, game of the year, and I love it, but I beat it in like 40 hours, and I did like all of the meaningful content. Like, padding is real, and it's so pervasive that we kind of just accept it. Like, it's just a thing that especially AAA publishers are just expected to do.
And they need something to slap on the back of the box.
And I just
400 hours of collecting roots and digging up treasure and patting someone on the back and saying it's okay.
I just want to say that there's no padding in Mega Man games. Every Robot Master is completely integral to the story.
Yeah, the story. Mega Man sweeping fucking up the narrative.
Yeah, there's a bad guy, and he's a scientist, and he's a bad scientist, and the good scientist sends a robot to beat other robots.
If somebody based a rock opera on it, I'm pretty much sure that there's a story to it.
Tell me Hamlet's better than Mega Man, and then explain why. You can't. You can't. Done. No, not even try. Right, exactly. And they're very similar. Everyone dies. Well, except like one guy. And that's it.
I will say this, that Mega Man's got a way better soundtrack than Hamlet.
Yeah. I mean,
What are we talking about?
I don't know. I decided to just be a dick, and I turned us into some weird tangent. Okay. So any more thoughts about this video game series of stories?
I mean, I think we basically hit it pretty well. Like,
Okay.
if a game should be as long as it needs to say what it needs to say, but if it doesn't have enough, people are going to be mad.
Yeah, there is. Sorry, this is something that I think we should touch on as well. Is that there's such a thing as editing, as well. And I honestly don't think that we recognize that there should be better editing in a lot of video games. Like, it's gotten to the point in time where the genre has the sewer level as being a cliche, as being like, oh god, the sewer level. And it's like, okay, yeah, well, all right, we should have taken the sewer level out then. And it's like, okay, well, what would you have put in its place? And I'm like, don't you fucking get it? You can't just, like, insert something into a narrative.
It's content, Johnny. We need more content for the season pass.
Yeah, fuck your content.
Yeah, I mean, Leon, you basically brought out the answer at the beginning of the conversation, which is Portal. Portal is, as far as I'm concerned, the perfect game, or as close to perfect as anyone's made yet, in that it doesn't need anything added and it doesn't need anything taken away. It's just basically exactly what it should be. And I think more games would benefit from that, a tighter focus and removing extraneous elements.
And yet they still made an expansion pack.
Do you know that Portal 2 was originally not going to have any portals in it?
Oh, I did not know that. What were they going to do?
Was it still going to have the National in it?
Was it going to be called not Portal?
Because then I'd be really alarmed if they were like, oh yeah, we weren't going to have any portals, or the National. We were going to get My Chemical Romance. No.
Leon, I don't know if you even got that joke, but
I kind of do.
Yeah, so they were just discussing maybe making each portal like having its own like hook, its own gameplay hook, but then they were like, no, it's Portal, it needs to have portals. So
yeah, make it, if you wanted some other game with some other puzzle mechanic, make that game and call it something else.
Yeah, like lubes.
What?
Okay. I know they're called gels. I mean, because
okay.
But I'm like, nah.
I thought this was like just some weird stream of consciousness where Johnny would just start thinking about lubes and.
The line is super thin with Johnny.
I gotta let you guys know, honestly, the way that my brain works, I'm absolutely convinced, is not to actually think of things, but to actually stem the thought of things. I'm almost convinced that I think of all things at the same time, and it is the role of my brain to be like, whoa boy, hold up.
That explains a lot. I don't know what else can be said here. Do you guys want to move on to the next topic?
Yeah. Before we
I know what else can be said here very quickly about video games. There's another game coming out called Bone Town.
I saw that.
And it's not about Bone Town.
What? What's happening?
Okay, on an earlier episode, for those who weren't listeners back in the BT podcast days, we stumbled upon a pornographic game called Bone Town. There was
we thought it was like the funniest thing ever.
Because we're fucking
not that somebody would make a pornographic game, those exist, but that somebody was like, I don't know, fuck it, let's just call it Bone Town.
But now there's a new game out called Bone Town, and it appears to be like an indie horror game. But it's called Bone Town, so it's just hilarious. They're never going to escape that.
I thought everybody knew.
Go ahead. What happened?
Sorry, I thought everybody was talking at once. I thought you were talking to Austin.
No, I don't know what to say. Bone Town just sounds like a sexual threat. Like, I pull Austin aside. I swear to God, Austin, if you fuck with me one more time, I will take you to Bone Town.
Oh my lord.
Okay.
That was slightly terrifying, even as a joke hypothetical.
Bone Town. Okay.
So now, gentlemen, as the three-man boy band who's actually not yet made any music whatsoever, I demand that our first single be Take You to Bone Town.
Do any of us play instruments?
I used to play piano. I don't anymore.
Yes, I play instruments.
Just
all of you're like the guy on the street, like begging for money, but you're playing like cymbals on your knees and a guitar and a harmonica.
No, I can play the guitar and I can play the piano.
Okay, well,
not with any great acclaim of skill.
Okay,
but I can play them.
I learned to play piano as a college credit. I basically I had to do it. I had to do something related to music.
Or else.
Yeah, it was just a necessary thing. And one of them said private piano instruction. And I was like, well, that's great because I hate people and I won't have to deal with an entire class. And so I kind of sat there. He says, okay, let's see what you know. And I say, well, I don't know anything. This is a piano class. I said it nicer than that, but I said I know literally nothing about piano. This is a beginner's course. He says, okay, well, you see the notes here. Put your hands on G or something. I was like, no, I don't even know what that means. I don't know how to read music. You have to like actually teach me from the beginning. I was like, oh, and I believe I got a B+.
Good for you.
Long story short, I was actually good at it.
Was there a hard work montage in between those two scenes, or
there was?
Was it like dum 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 dum? I'm envisioning you playing Bonnie Raitt.
Carrying the piano up the...
Holding out for a hero, nothing? No? I need
the Philadelphia steps like Rocky.
I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. Terrible. See, now I'm imagining you sitting at a piano and then a guy with a stopwatch sitting behind you and clicking it and then looking at you and shaking his head. Yeah. And then, you walking up a snowy mountain with a piano or something like that.
On my back. Yeah. Speaking of weird personal stories, based on what we were talking about earlier, did I ever tell you guys the reason why I have a crooked tooth?
I don't know, but I'm really excited now.
It's fucked up.
It's because of Quentin Tarantino.
What?
I'll explain.
Playing some hefty blame there, Thomas.
I know. So here's what happened. So it was the mid to late 90s, and as it was, and I had braces on to correct, your basic teeth garden coming in a little wrong, so you get braces, and then you're fine for the rest of your life. But all was not well, because one time
threw a copy of Reservoir Dogs at you and hit you right in the mouth.
No, it's way worse than that. It was nice. I was a big fan of Quentin Tarantino when I was young. I guess I still am, but less so now because you grow up and you realize he's not that great. And then, I really loved Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, and I saw them, on VHS, and I was really excited because Jackie Brown, his next picture, was coming to the theaters, and some very irresponsible adult members of my family were okay with me seeing it, as long as I saw it with them, and I was like, neat. So one day, I had to go to my dentist appointment, and I was really worried because we had to catch a certain showing of Jackie Brown. And I went in, and I said, doctor, I have a movie to catch. It's in 2 hours. How long is this appointment going to take? And he says, less than an hour. You're fine. I said, okay, well, we're good. So he started doing these things on my teeth, and then he broke his instrument, and then he had to start all over. And this was right at the end of the part, so he had to start all over, and I was going to miss the movie. And I said, look, I'm sorry, but I told you I have to go see Jackie Brown today. In case you didn't know, this is the next Quentin Tarantino picture, so I have to go. And he says, but you have an appointment. I said, yeah, but we made a deal an hour ago about how long this was going to take, so I'm sorry, but I have to go. So I left, and he was all in a huff about it. And my mother was like, hey, he's got to see Jackie Brown. So we went and we saw Jackie Brown, and it was really good. And then next time when I had a dentist appointment, my dentist he basically had a vendetta against me from that point on. He would make me wait for hours in the waiting room before I would get in so he could work on my teeth. So after a while, we were sick of this shit. My teeth were back in order. They were perfectly fine. He says, you still have 2 months more of, paying me for your braces. I was like, no, I'm fine now, and you can take these off. So he did, begrudgingly, and was kind of a dick during all of it. And then what you're supposed to do when someone gets their braces off and they're a kid, you say, okay, so you put in this retainer, and then your teeth will be fine, and you wear it for such and such amount of time. And that's what you're supposed to say. But he didn't say that. He didn't tell me about the retainer, because he was a jerk, and he really hated me. So I never wore the retainer because I didn't know that that's what I was supposed to do, and then my teeth went crooked. So basically, if
I have to ask a question here.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So he gave you a retainer.
No, I don't know if he gave me it or not. I don't think he did. But he didn't tell me anything about what would happen if I did this or did that. He would like shooed me out the door and did not go into detail because But he did not even hide his contempt for me.
So when I'm asking you about the retainer here, the response I'm getting is, I honestly don't recall. I don't remember if he gave me a retainer or not.
I genuinely don't remember because he very, let me put it this way. I'm not imagining that he had a problem with me, the way some kids think that adults just hate us, but really they're just looking out for our best interests. He was genuinely mean to me, and every adult who ever went with me to him ever since, to take me there, agreed that he was just an ass.
I bet this was the guy that leaked the Hateful Eight script.
Mystery solved!
Oh.
Still fucking sore about it.
Yeah.
God damn.
Okay, so, but yeah, anyway, long story short, I am willing to mutilate my own face in order to see a movie that I could have easily seen the next day. It's just, oh my god, just thinking back on it, that was a really bad move on my part.
I've got a way less interesting story about my crooked tooth.
Okay, does it involve Werner Herzog in any way?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
Are you gonna tell it, or?
Well, like I said, it's not very interesting.
Tell me anyway. I'll spice it up.
All right. So, at one point in time, I had an orthodontist that was like, fuck, looks like you're gonna have to get braces. And I said, go fuck yourself.
Did you say that out loud, or exaggerating what you said?
I think what I really said was, no.
Don't you usually get braces when you're a kid? Was that decision even yours to make?
That's what I fucking laid down the law. I was like, no, don't think so. They were like, oh, but if you don't, you're gonna get headaches when you're, no.
Is that why I have headaches? Because my tooth is out of order?
Not necessarily. You might have headaches for one of a billion different reasons.
Okay.
It's like, oh shit, we discovered the cause of all headaches is this one style of crooked tooth.
Oh. Okay. Well, anyway, so I don't know what we're talking about anymore. So I'm just gonna like very messily transition into our next story.
I thought we were gonna talk about how Jackie Brown is the weakest Tarantino picture.
I strongly disagree.
If you say Death Proof, I'm gonna slap you.
I do think it's you can't because I'm Maryland. No, I do think Death Proof is the weakest.
Really? I kind of feel like Too Furious for Furor.
I like Inglourious Basterds.
I liked it too, but I thought it was just too up and down as far as I was concerned. Like it had a really strong opening and it had a really strong finish. And like the middle, I'm kind of like, okay, there was that one scene with the bear Jew.
I think we've reached an impasse in our relationship. We all really like Tarantino, but we like different movies of his, different amounts. I don't know if we can get past this as a group.
Gentlemen, we're not arguing about which one of Tarantino's movies is the worst. Nobody's using the adjective worst here. Come on. We're just saying weakest. We're saying it appeals to us the least.
Yeah.
Can't we all agree that we like Quentin Tarantino's oof?
No, actually, I'm sorry. I really like what you said that in the poetry in which you said it. But no, I genuinely believe Death Proof is a bad movie, and it is his worst.
No, you're wrong, Leon. That's an incorrect statement.
Oh, okay. Well, I've objectively made a best movies of all time list, as we
Damn!
know.
That makes you an authority. I can't argue.
Yeah. Oh, I am actually going to do Pulp Fiction before the end of the year. Spoiler, the reason it is my favorite Quentin Tarantino picture is not just because it's, his most famous, and in a lot of ways his best, but it's the only one that feels like it has any kind of heart and resolution to it. Jackie Brown is just like, everyone's fucked, but that wasn't really his it wasn't really his story. That was an adapted thing. Everything else is just horrible carnage and no real redemption and just endless cycles of revenge. Whereas Pulp Fiction, the ending point, not the chronologically last scene, but the last scene where they walk off, there's genuine heart to it that is completely absent from everything else he's done. And I can only assume that's either because he was a younger man when he did it, or because it was co-written by someone else entirely.
What I find most fascinating about Pulp Fiction in retrospect is how it managed to hit at a point in time when all of the cast members were just about to go electric.
Yeah.
Like almost everybody. You had a couple of already like sort of semi-big names in the movie, but at this point in time everybody's like, fuck yeah, Samuel L. Jackson is in everything, and it's like, there was a time when he wasn't.
Yeah.
Tim Roth, too, he'd been in a lot of, English stuff. It was his first real big break into the American market, even though he had been in Reservoir Dogs before. That was largely an indie hit. But, you're talking, Bruce Willis got his career back. Uma Thurman, just, boom, out of nowhere, John Travolta got his career back. It was this... Everybody in it had this vitality to them that basically made them live again.
That's a good point, Johnny. What I like about Pulp Fiction is how pulpy it is.
What about how fictional it is?
It gets stuck in my teeth.
That's why I always order my Pulp Fiction at the grocery store with no pulp.
Okay.
I'll take the Pulp Fiction, but pulpless, please.
Okay. So anyway, we do have one more story we have to go through, and that is the fact that there's going to be a new Alien movie. And it's not Prometheus 2, although that is also coming. There's a new Alien movie coming, and apparently the director of District 9 and Chappie, I believe, is going to be the one doing it. I'm going to try to pronounce his name without saying Blumkin. Neil Blomkamp.
Gold star, you tried.
I'm sorry. Neil Blomkamp is going to do the next Alien movie. He's been wanting to for a while, and then he met up with Sigourney Weaver. I said it wrong. Sigourney Weaver. Is there anyone else in the world named Sigourney?
There's not.
I assume it's not a made-up name, that's the first Sigourney, but I honestly know no other Sigurneys.
I met a Morag once, so if there's a Morag, then I'm sure there's another Sigourney.
I'm going to look it up later, where Sigourney comes from. I honestly, I never thought about it until this exact moment, but, okay, never mind. This is not important. What is important is there's going to be a new Alien movie, and then the fact that Sigourney Weaver is going.
I just looked it up. Liam, typing Sigourney into Google just gives you Sigourney Weaver because she's the only one, and then on her Wikipedia page it says her actual name is Susan.
Wait, so there is no other Sigourney?
Yeah, her name is Susan Alexandra Weaver.
Why did she change it to Sigourney?
Because nobody would be talking about fucking Susan Weaver.
Susan Weaver sucks.
Because we're spending minutes now talking about Sigourney Weaver and,
just her name.
She accomplished it.
Boom!
She was right.
She got away with it, son. That was the biggest name heist in history.
All right. Well, anyway, Sigourney Weaver is going to be in it, which suggests that it is a sequel and not a reboot, unless they are rebooting Alien and Ripley is just a little bit older. And they're just telling it again with the same actress, which would be strange. So I assume
sorry, just to get serious for a second there, is that I don't think I would mind seeing Sigourney Weaver at her current age climb out of a cryostasis chamber in her underwear.
All right.
I would not mind that. That
All
would
right.
be hot.
All right.
That was an important insight into you as a character, Johnny.
I'm sorry, that was, people talk about, like, some of their first, like, recognitions when they're growing up about, like, being sexual human beings.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, Ripley and Aliens, I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
Leon's like, what about Gadget Hack Wrench?
Anyway.
Callback.
Yeah. So, no, Sigourney Weaver is going to be in it, which suggests that it's going to be a sequel featuring Sigourney Weaver as the Ellen Ripley clone, or they're going to retroactively make that never happen. Or
you know what they should do? Is they should make it a sequel to the original Aliens, so it'll be Alien 2, and then they can make a sequel to Aliens, and it can be Aliens 2, right? And those can be two different series entirely.
One can be action, and one can be better. So, boom!
Damn.
Take that, everyone who loves Aliens more than Alien. No, it's a fine film. So anyway, yeah, I'm actually excited about this just because I want a new Alien movie. I mentioned on my top 20 favorite movies list that Alien, the first one, is one of my favorite movies. I mentioned that,
Can I just say on a quick aside, Leon,
Yeah.
while you coalesce your thoughts here, that after watching that list,
Yeah.
I was a little amazed. I've always known we had similar tastes, but there's like 2 movies on there that I haven't seen.
Oh, okay. What were those 2 movies? Just out of
Vagabond and In a Field.
Okay, A Field in England. Well, yeah.
A Field in England, sorry.
A Field in England just came out like a couple years ago, and it did not really get a big release. That's not surprising. And Vagabond is a French film that is not really called Vagabond anyway. Really, it's just what in American markets that's what it's called. It's really called something in French that translates.
Fine. I just like your list was oddly like eerily similar to what I would consider my favorite movies of all time as well.
Austin, did you watch my movies list and also have similar thoughts?
I watched it, and I agreed with a couple of things, and I think I have less exacting taste than you two.
Well, we're from different times, Austin. That's how that works.
I know. You guys are old. Breaking news. Old white straight guys agree with each other.
You're making kind of a big leap that we're both straight, but okay.
You know what I mean, Leon.
Kind of.
We're all a little bi for each other, at least.
But anyway, I was talking about Alien, and I like that the concept art changes almost nothing about the xenomorph, because there's really no reason to try to update it like they tried to do with RoboCop. It was like, okay, let's change the color and make it sleeker and, more modern. And it was like, no, don't do that at all. Do exactly nothing to RoboCop. And then
they've been trying to update the xenomorph since at least Alien 3 when they gave it, like, the dog form.
Yeah. They slightly changed it to be like a quadruped, but for the most part, that penis head is still there.
That's true. I'm just saying they've been tinkering with it. There's the alien hybrid thing and Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, that I don't feel like that's even a real xenomorph. that's just some fleshy.
Is that not canon? Is that not canon for you, Leon?
I feel like that's some sort of hybrid puke thing. I don't know. Yeah. So long story short, I'm happy that another Alien movie is coming. I want to be excited, but here's the thing about Alien, as opposed to various other franchises that have had, like, up and down success. Alien was a great movie. Aliens, I'll still say, is kind of a great movie. I do like Alien 3, but I feel like I'm in an extreme minority there. But
I think the direction is really strong. But
I liked it. I like the setting. I like the direction.
I like that it was just bleak as fuck. It feels like tonally it's a more direct sequel to Alien than Aliens is.
I don't think it's a good Alien movie, but I think it's a good movie.
Okay.
I think it was a good Alien movie for like one very specific reason, was that like by and large they removed the company from it until the very end. Because then it was just like, it was this story about, like, space derelicts as people.
Yeah.
Like, thrown out of society, total outcasts, faced with this, like, eating, killing machine. And having nowhere to turn to because nobody ever assumed that they would have any value, that there would be anything worth talking to these people about, Like, and one of Daddy Lannister's, I think, great performances.
Oh shit, you're right. That was Charles Dance.
Yeah.
That didn't even enter into my mind until just this second. He was young-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was. I think it had strong performances. It had great vision. It had good direction, and I mean, you could easily make the argument that it was more or less an attempt to kind of rehash the first one.
All right.
But I think that the setting and the characters made it significantly different to separate it from the first one, to make it its own movie. And as its own movie, it succeeds. It fails if you're like, well, if you're going to compare Alien and Alien 3, then Alien's definitely the better movie. And it's like, yes, that's true. You can't say anything other than that. But to view it as itself, it's strong, it's well cast, it's well acted, it's well directed, its sets are fantastic. Like, the mood is, like, they set the mood right away, Boom! You remember all those people you liked from the end of the last movie? Guess what?
All right, even if we can convince the world that Alien 3 is pretty good, that still means that it has been 23 years since there's been a good Alien movie. And there's part of me that enjoys Alien Resurrection just because I like watching Hellboy go upside down on a ladder shooting laser guns into a xenomorph's head. And stupid stuff like that. But if I'm being objective, it's kind of And so it's just been such a long time since there's been a really good Alien movie. We've had Alien vs. Predator.
Are you trying to tell me that you don't like Brad Dourif's O-face when he's getting like...
Brad Dourif is the best part of that movie because it's Chucky examining a xenomorph. So it's just one horror monster looking at another one, and it's just beautiful. And... yeah, I mean, there are parts about it that I did enjoy, but it's like, I still think that it's just been a very, very long time since this franchise has done anything good.
Since it's lived up to its reputation?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And maybe they can restart that, but there's just been so many false starts with Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2, and Prometheus, which just felt like it had promise, and then they just shit the bed.
And that is to say nothing of most of the video games that have been released in the interim.
Yeah.
I say most because I feel like Isolation is an exception, but we shall not speak of what Gearbox hath wrought.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, there is potential there, so I will allow myself to be excited because I hate it when there's a franchise that I used to love and there's a new movie or something coming out from it and I go, ugh, they're gonna fuck it up again, because that doesn't give me any joy. So I will allow myself to geek out about this a little bit. We don't have much time left. I just will say very quickly that Jupiter Ascending sucked dick. And,
not even in a fun way. A lot of people said it's so bad that they enjoyed it.
You know what? I'm not the kind of person that gets all, ooh, it's gonna be so bad it's good. Kind of that. I'm not that kind of guy. But every once in a while, it just seems like it's going to be such an amazing train wreck that I will be interested in it. And this felt like it was going to be one of those. And there were a few moments where I kind of laughed at how ridiculous it all was. But 1 hour into that thing, I was just praying for it to end. And it had like a false ending. There was a big wedding scene. I mean, sorry, spoilers, but there was a big wedding scene in Jupiter Ascending. And then the wedding is broken up by the big hero Channing Tatum. I'm like, oh, okay, now it's over. It's like, nope, there's like a half an hour more of just stupid CGI bullshit. And I could go on and on how bad this is, but I'm not an angry movie reviewer, so I'm just gonna say it's bad, and it's not even worth going to the movies to see. I thought like, oh, I must bear witness to this, based on what everyone's saying, but nope, it's just a bad movie, and you know, I will say one thing about it. I like that it is a movie based on just an original screenplay and not adapted from this, that, or the other. I respect that, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. The Wachowskis are saying Hollywood is never going to trust us with a big budget movie again. Good. And I'm not saying that's because I hate them as directors, because I don't. I'm saying that as someone who really liked Bound. That was their first movie, and it cost like $6 million to make, and it was just a crime movie, and it was good. So they should just do that. I feel like they found their calling, and they were like, fuck it, Matrix. And they just kept trying to remake The Matrix for like, 15 years now?
Except for Speed Racer.
Was Speed Racer not The Matrix on wheels?
I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
Okay. I don't know. You know what? I'll say this. I like parts of Cloud Atlas, but not enough that I loved it, I guess. I just want them to make crime movies. They were good. They made one good one, and then they did a bunch of stuff that mostly wasn't good after that.
They're ambitious little goofballs, but they don't quite have the skill to pull off their visions.
I admire ambition almost as much as success, but
not quite.
Right, and that's it. I really respect that they have all these wild ideas and like, let's do it big, but they're what is the term? Their sight exceeds their grasp or something like that.
Yeah, their grasp and their reach.
Yeah, so
my father used to say, "Your eyes are too big for your stomach."
You do. I didn't get to tell my tooth story. I'm gonna edit this down into its purest form.
Okay.
2 of my front teeth, top front teeth, are chipped from fist fights. So.
That's not funny. I apologize. What fist? Tell me the instances of the fist fights, or the litigation's still pending.
You gangsta!
I mean, it all kind of blends together. I punched a lot of people in my life.
Yeah, but this is not a story about you punching people. This is a story about you getting punched.
Yeah, I want to know the story about the person who punched your teeth in.
No, I mean, sometimes they got a shot at. I've never lost a fight. I mean, there's not really much to say. Usually just people talk shit, they got hit.
I wish I could make that the title.
I headbutted a guy into unconsciousness once.
More than once? Or like...
Yeah.
Cause that sounds like you went once and you were like, well, that didn't do it. Here we go again.
I'm gonna keep doing this until one of us dies.
He's okay as far as I know. Maybe
okay.
It's a slow burn.
You don't
Jesus
say
Christ, I hit a door askew once and it put a dent in my skull.
Oh my gosh.
I have a dent in my head that from someone hit me with a cinder block once, but it's almost impossible to see unless you look really, really close. Do you still stay in contact with the person you headbutted into unconsciousness?
Yeah, I mean...
oh, you're still buds?
It's not even like an angry thing. I just enjoy fighting. I think it's fun. I'll just be like, hey friend, would you like to fight? Like, we can just... It's just an activity. It's not personal.
Oh, okay. So this was more like a Fight Club situation, and
yeah,
like so, I'm angry at your head, but my head is angrier.
Yeah, I don't want to incriminate myself any further. Let's wrap this up.
Okay. Anything you guys want to say right before we go?
I still got dancing legs.
Cool.
They won't stop me dancing. Woo!
So, Grand Budapest Hotel, best Wes Anderson movie, or even better than the best? Guys, what do you think?
My favorite is still Moonrise Kingdom, but Grand Budapest Hotel is really up there.
I'm gonna have to go with the Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay.
But
we find ourselves at an oeuvre impasse again.
Yeah.
Again.
All right.
Who knew that white straight men could disagree with each other so mildly?